Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been revealed by Ubisoft, and this time we're being taken back to the Viking Age, with all the axes, runes, and furs that you could wish for. And based on how Assassin's Creed Odyssey played out, we wouldn't be surprised if we see more than a little Norse mythology in its world. While release day is still a way off, you don't have to wait months to get your Viking fix. These are the best Viking games featuring the era's most iconic elements that you can play in preparation for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Norse mythology, the Aesir pantheon, 9 worlds and so forth, is a key component of the Viking Age. 2018's God of War is a grim-dark love letter to that mythology. It makes clever use of those myths and characters to tell an intricate, original story. Interestingly, God of War opts to explore elements of Norse paganism that have been less represented in popular culture. The heavyweights of Thor and Odin are unseen background players, while lesser figures, like Thor's sons Magni and Modi, feature prominently, making it an ideal starting point to expand your knowledge of Viking religion. While God of War is set in the fictional realms where many of these myths take place, its gameplay and plot elegantly mirror the broader strokes of the Viking Age. That era of human history saw the Norsemen of Scandinavia leave their borders and explore new lands, raiding and expanding into Iceland, Greenland, and Europe. In God of War, an older Kratos has left ancient Greece behind, embarking on an unfamiliar journey where he must adapt to both the needs of his son and the strange new realms that he travels through. Vikings are one of the main factions in Ubisoft's medieval team battler For Honor. While they're very much a pop fiction version of Vikings, we're talking full horned helmets, furs, coloured war paint, the works. For Honor's Norsemen are still more grounded than many other gaming depictions. Don't expect Kratos' magical axe or the godly powers of Jotun's Thora, as For Honor eschews mythology in favour of gritty hand-to-hand combat. The detailed fight mechanics of For Honor may only be realistic on the surface, but they do capture the ruthlessness of raider strategy. The Vikings are believed to have been some of history's fiercest warriors, fueled by their belief that dying transported them to the heavenly Valhalla, and For Honor certainly captures that dedication to battle. While there's not a hidden blade or stealth kill in sight, the intricate parrying system does provide a battle experience with a similar amount of depth to newer Assassin's Creed combat mechanics. Also, For Honor's Vikings can chokeslam an enemy and then decapitate them with an axe, which just screams for the glory of Valhalla. With raids keeping them away from their homelands for months at a time, the Norsemen frequently battled for survival against the elements. That fight is at the heart of Northgard, a strategy game that sees you guiding a Viking clan to victory while the seasons change around you. This creates unique tactical challenges to overcome. Come winter, food production plummets, while wood consumption skyrockets. Your warriors fight poorly in the snow, making violent expansion and defense a struggle. To survive, you have to prepare. Forward thinking is vital to almost every RTS, but the way Northgard spins planning around the seasons helps anchor it in the world of Viking raiders. This grueling nuance is offset by an embracement of mythology. You'll meet giants, valkyries, kobolds, and undead Draugr on your journey, meaning there's always something interesting to see on the far side of winter. With not a god, Draugr, or lightning-wrapped hammer in sight, Total War Saga Thrones of Britannia is a grand strategy game that focuses on a more historically accurate representation of Viking strategy and expansion. You choose one of two varieties of Vikings, the land-based Grand Army or the ocean-focused Sea Kings, and proceed to raid, pillage, and eventually settle as much of Britain as you can. Or you can opt to defend the Isles from the Vikings by playing as the Saxons or Gaelic clans, but that's likely not your intention if you're watching this. Conquering Thrones of Britannia's detailed map requires savvy strategies, from the use of the Norsemen's famous longships in naval battles, to fully embracing the slave trade if you're comfortable really throwing ethics out the window. You can also tactically deploy the iconic Berserkers, warriors clad in furs who work themselves into a terrifying frenzy before battle. The image of the Berserker has influenced many video game characters, God of War's Kratos among them, but Thrones of Britannia shows you the historical origins of one of pop culture's most recognisable warrior archetypes. The Banner Saga is an emotional RPG trilogy that pulls its inspirations from the great Norse sagas, particularly their epic scale and morally ambiguous heroes. The series asks you to oversee a caravan of Vikings travelling through a myth-like world that's under threat from the terrifying Dredge. Think of it like Game of Thrones. Shocking twists, unstoppable evil, and gradually expanding scope included, but with the weight of responsibility entirely on your shoulders instead of George R.R. Martin's. Drawn in a beautiful style reminiscent of Disney's early animated movies, the Banner Saga is always striking to play. From its delicately wrought conversational segments to the tense turn-based tactical battles that evoke the strategic satisfaction of XCOM and the fantastical heroism of Dragon Age. The trilogy forces you to make tough decisions at almost every turn, some of which put the moral quandaries of even The Witcher to shame. Saves carry your choices from one game to the next, which makes its finale all the more satisfying, or indeed heartbreaking. Similar to the trends of God of War and the Banner Saga, Hellblade uses the Norse mythos to tell a complex, emotionally devastating story that deals with themes of mortality, trauma, survival, and change. Its protagonist Senua is not actually a Viking. She instead belongs to a Gaelic Pict confederation, hailing from what we now know as Scotland, but her journey takes her into the Norse underworld of Helheim on a quest to defy the god of death itself. Her journey is filled with monstrous foes, but Hellblade's true antagonist is Senua's fracturing psyche, and overcoming that mental trauma is the only way she can succeed. That narrative is built on the bones of a hack-and-slash action game, its brutal violence interspersed with clever puzzles, making Hellblade an ideal second course if you've already tackled God of War and are hungry for more. It's a heavy, unrelenting journey, but certainly one worth taking. So there we go, 6 Viking games you can play right now in preparation for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Are there any others you'd recommend? Why not let us know about them in the comments? And if you want more Assassin's Creed, why not check out one of these other videos?